What's going on, guys? Welcome to Comic Island. My name is Joey, and today I want to discuss some of the most widely known deaths in comic books. The twist is that these characters would have been brought back to life and is still in active duty today. So here are the rules for this list. Each character that has been considered dead has had their death publicly announced to us comic readers. So even if the character has been missing in some pocket dimension or blasted off somewhere in time and space, it's fair game for this list. The character currently resurrected has to be his original form, so clones or parallel counterparts are disqualified from this list. Oh, and just so you guys are prepared, major spoilers ahead. Alright, let's begin. Today will begin like any average day at the Avengers Mansion. Without notice, chaos erupts as the jack of all trades blows up the mansion. Seconds later, Vision crashes a Quinjet into the wreckage. She-Hulk goes Hulk mad and rips the Vision in half and begins to attack the Avengers. But the chaos is not over yet, as a Kree fleet appears and begins to attack. Our favorite Marvel marksman, being the hero that he is, begins to shoot his arrows at the Kree ship. But his quiver set catches fire after a blast to his back. Hawkeye knew his fate, and without any more options to go on, he grabs a Kree soldier, uses his jetpack and blasts off straight into the Kree battlecruiser. We would discover that Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, was behind the entire attack, and Hawkeye will be the first casualty of this list. Well, during the House of M story arc, Wanda warped reality, creating a world where Homo sapiens were the lower class citizens and the Homo superiors, aka mutants, controlled all major powers of the world. Her father, Magneto, would hold dominion over all. What was unknown at the time was the fact that the Scarlet Witch attempted to make all of the Avengers and the X-Men happy. Clint Barton was brought back to life in this alternate reality. Eventually, our heroes would regain their true memories, and Barton would discover that he indeed died. Well, he confronts Wanda, which led to him being erased from this reality again. Clint Barton would reappear a second time as the world returned to the way it had been. He seeks out Doctor Strange, who offers him shelter while he comes to terms with his new life. He would later travel to Wundagore Mountain and discover Wanda Maximoff living a normal life and has no memory of her past and apparently has no mutant powers. Clint would later take on the Ronin identity, which he joins the New Avengers but would retake the mantle of Hawkeye during the start of the heroic age in 2010. After many hours working in his lab, Hank McCoy emerges with a cure to the legacy virus, but there is a catch. The cure can only be released after its host uses his or her power, which will then kill that individual. While the X-Men are away, Peter Rasputin, aka the Colossus, would take the cure and inject it into himself. Before he activates his powers, Cecilia Reyes discovers what has happened. The devastation of the death of his sister Ileana has been too much for Peter to bear. He states, "I'm coming home, Snowflake." His powers activates and he falls to the floor with the grieving Dr. Reyes, who is powerless to bring back her fallen friend. His noble sacrifice has allowed the cure to the legacy virus to become airborne, which would lead to saving countless mutant lives. 10 months and 3 years later, Cyclops with his team of X-Men would infiltrate the Benetech facility on a recon mission. Kitty Pryde is split from her group and phases to the ground, only to run into a few armed soldiers. But before she could even react, the Colossus appears out of the shadows and viciously attacks the soldiers. He finally snaps out of it after Kitty begs him to stop or he will kill these men. Peter Rasputin falls to his knees in tears and states, "Katya, oh God, am I finally dead?" At this time, the mastermind behind this event, an alien named Ord, reappears to challenge the X-Men. The team is shocked to witness that their friend Colossus has returned from the grave. With the help of Peter Rasputin, Ord is taken into custody by S.H.I.E.L.D. We discovered that Ord had replaced Rasputin's body with a clone, which was sent back to his home country to be cremated. Colossus was actually held captive and was experimented on for nearly 4 years until the Shadow Cat discovered him and helped him escape. Colossus rejoins his X-Men and continues his romantic relationship with Kitty Pryde, the Shadow Cat. Dr. Octopus has done it. In a twist of fate, Doc Ock manages to switch his consciousness into Peter Parker's body. Now, Parker lays dying in Doc Ock's decaying body, and Otto Octavius stands victorious as he begins to acclimate himself into the life of Peter Parker. Instead of going back to his villainous ways, Doc Ock is overcome with Parker's residual subconscious. With great power comes great responsibility. Overcome with heroism, Doc Ock vows to a dying Peter Parker that he will resume Parker's heroics as Spider-Man. But with his intellect, Otto Octavius will become a superior Spider-Man. Fast forward 1 year later. Norman Osborn's Goblin Nation wreaks havoc on the city. The superior Spider-Man is unable to cope with this much loss. In a twist of fate, Doc Ock opens the prison that contains Spider-Man's subconscious. The superior Spider-Man finally understands why he cannot be the hero. To fight the Goblin Nation, Doc Ock gives up Parker's body back to its original owner. Otto Octavius is gone and the Amazing Spider-Man is back. He takes a fight to the Goblin Nation and, with the help of Spider-Man 2099, he stands victorious. But now, Parker must repair all of the damaged relationship caused by the superior Spider-Man. Later that year, during the Inheritors' hunt for the Spider Totem, Peter Parker would find himself standing face to face with his past self, with Doc Ock still in control. They agree to work together to save all of the Spider Totems of the Spider-Verse. During the 2010 X-Men event, the time-displaced Cable and his daughter Hope are being pursued by Bastion, a super sentinel from the far future hell-bent on exterminating all mutants. He has deemed Hope Summers to be a danger to humanity's future and has come back to present day to kill her and seal the fate of all the mutants. Nightcrawler and Rogue now escorts Hope to the island Utopia, aka the safe zone, but a Bastion Super Sentinel arrives. Rogue leads the charge and attacks the Sentinel, while Nightcrawler's duty will be to teleport away with Hope. The Sentinel takes Rogue out of the picture, and the next thing we know, Hope Summers and the Bastion Sentinel stands face to face. Nightcrawler teleports in and takes Hope out of danger, but the Bastion Sentinel extends his arm into the space in which Kurt materializes. Nightcrawler rematerializes around Bastion's arm, fusing with it, and is now mortally wounded. With his remaining powers, he manages to teleport Hope into the outskirts of Utopia. Kurt Wagner has fulfilled his mission at the cost of his life. Having taken his rightful place in the heavens after his noble death, Nightcrawler found his eternal rest interrupted by his father, the demon Azazel, who plans on stealing the souls residing in the afterlife. After discovering his father's plans, Nightcrawler strikes a deal with the Bamps, small creatures with a striking resemblance to him, and enlists their help to build a portal to teleport his former teammates to the afterlife to assist him in the battle against his father. Having gathered his friends, Kurt uses the Bamps and his connection to Azazel to restore himself to life back on Earth, thus preventing Azazel from attacking Heaven again by tying them both together, although this results in Kurt sacrificing his own soul to ensure that Azazel will not be able to return to Heaven. Even though he comes in at around number 6 on this list, Hal Jordan's death has got to be one of the most tragic. It began with Mongol and the cyborg Superman destroying his hometown when Jordan was off-world. In a failed attempt to cope with his grief, he used his power ring to recreate his city for personal gain, which is a violation of the Green Lantern Corps. Jordan would be heavily influenced by the Parallax entity, which would result in the destruction of Oa, the deaths of many Green Lanterns, and all of the Guardians except for one, Ganthet. Jordan, under the Parallax persona, would reappear later on in the final Night story arc, where we see the world under peril again from an extra-dimensional entity called the Sun Eater. Yes, that's correct, this entity eats suns, and has our sun in his crosshairs. In an act of redemption, Hal Jordan would sacrifice his life to absorb the Sun Eater and reignite the sun, simultaneously using his powers to safely restore it to its original form without causing any side effects to planet Earth. Before his resurrection, we would see Jordan becoming the newest incarnation of the Spectre, the Spirit of Vengeance. Jordan's willpower would bend the Spectre's mission from vengeance to redemption, which would finally culminate in 2004, where we would discover that Hal unwillingly harbored a small part of yellow impurity within him. The Parallax entity grows stronger and fought the Spectre for control of Jordan's spirit. During this time, new Green Lantern Kyle Rayner's vessel emerges from the sun with a very precious cargo on board, Hal Jordan's corpse. Back on Earth, Parallax has gained control, but not long after, with the help of the Justice League, the Spectre, and fellow Green Lantern members, Hal Jordan would regain control of his soul. At this time, Parallax found himself a new host, and the Spectre has been called home, leaving Hal Jordan's soul in limbo. With the help of Ganthet, Jordan's soul found his body, and the Green Lantern Hal Jordan is now reborn. With the help of his fellow Green Lantern Corps members, he finishes a fight and traps the Parallax entity back in his prison within the Central Power Battery. It is the 30th century and Barry Allen has found peace. But this peace would not last a moment more as the Anti-Monitor kidnaps the Flash and brings him back to 1985. According to the Anti-Monitor, the Flash was the only person capable of traveling to other universes at will. Because of this, the Anti-Monitor could not allow Allen to stay free. Allen escapes and foils the Anti-Monitor's plans to destroy the Earth by using an antimatter cannon, creating a speed vortex to draw the power in. But unfortunately, Barry Allen dies in the process as the power becomes too much for his body. It is believed that Barry travels back through time and becomes the very same lightning bolt that gave him his powers. It is also believed that his soul rests in the Speed Force, an extra-dimensional energy force which most super-powered speedsters draws their powers from. Fast forward to 2008, and we would see Jay Garrick being the first to feel the vibration signature of Barry Allen. During this time, the superhero community are all on high alert and investigating the death of the new god Orion. Barry Allen finally outran an entity called the Black Racer and returns back to the land of the living. But this is not the time to celebrate his return. The world is in danger as the villain Darkseid plots to overthrow reality while turning many heroes into villains to be used as his pawns. During the final showdown between Superman and Darkseid, with the help of Wally West, Barry Allen leads the Black Racer directly into Darkseid, dealing the cosmic tyrant a blow that, paired with Batman shooting him in the shoulder with a god bullet, would ultimately result in his demise. The world returns to normal, and the meta-human community can finally relax and celebrate the return of Barry Allen, the Flash. In the same event that brought us back Barry Allen, Bruce Wayne would ultimately find his end. In the crossover story Final Crisis, Darkseid attempts to mind control Batman, capturing him while he is investigating the death of the new god Orion. After escaping, Batman breaks his code of never using a firearm, just this once. He uses the Radeon bullet, the same bullet that killed Orion, to shoot Darkseid. At the same time, Darkseid strikes him with the Omega Sanction, the death that is life. Superman is later seen holding Batman's charred body. The Dark Knight is now dead and Gotham is Batmanless. Evidently, Batman did not die, but rather was sent back in time. He fought his way through cavemen, witch hunters, pirates, and even cowboys to finally return to present time, where he discovers that his first protege, Dick Grayson, had carried on his responsibilities of the Dark Knight detective. So why did Darkseid's Omega Beam not kill Bruce Wayne? Well, we discovered that killing Batman was not Darkseid's intention, but rather, he intended for Batman to time travel so he would build up Omega energy, and then he would return to his own time, where Bruce Wayne would explode, destroying all of reality. But luckily, that did not happen. After Bruce Wayne returns to the 21st century, the Justice League stops his heart, allowing the Omega energy to dissipate. He finally wakes up, and now the true Batman is ready to return to Gotham. The iconic World War II hero was thought dead, but then found thawed out of ice 2 decades later. Steve Rogers now carries on his duties in the 21st century as a founding member of the Avengers. But we are not discussing his death and resurrection from an ice cube. After a registration act passes, forcing masked superheroes to register themselves with the government, a clear line is divided amongst the superhero community. Iron Man would lead his team of heroes on the pro-registration side, but many flocks towards Captain America's anti-registration movement. Civil war breaks out, claiming the life of a few heroes and causing mayhem and destruction in the city. At the end, Cap surrenders to the authorities to put a stop to the bloodshed and destruction. Days later, Rogers only manages to take a few steps towards the courthouse when a sniper takes aim and shoots. Panic and chaos washes over the crowd, but during the confusion, a point-blank shot ends the captain's life. Agent 13, aka Sharon Carter, spearheads the investigation to discover the shooter, but ultimately, we would discover that Sharon, after being brainwashed by the Red Skull, was the one that pulled the trigger, dealing the death blow to the American icon. We would discover that the gun Sharon used was specially designed to sever Rogers' consciousness from his body, seemingly rendering him dead. Steve's consciousness became unhinged in time, and he was forced to endure his entire history in an endless loop, unable to truly die. With the help of Dr. Doom and Norman Osborn, the Red Skull would reanimate and take over Rogers' body with Steve's conscious still trapped inside. On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Barnes and Rogers fought the Red Skull on 2 separate battlefields, the subconscious and the physical world. Ultimately, Rogers won out, forcing the Red Skull from his mind, thus Captain America is reborn again. Now, the world has 2 Captain America, Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. Steve would pass the torch to Barnes, but the new Cap states, there is only one Captain America, Steve Rogers. Rogers would eventually meet with the current president at the White House. Here, he receives a full pardon from the events of the Superhero Registration Act. Signed, Barack Obama. The child of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul would be caught in a power struggle between parents. Even though Damian chose to be with his father, he would have to battle against the forces of the Al Ghul family and Talia's army of Leviathan soldiers. A member of the Leviathan and clone of Damian named Heretic would engage the son of Batman in a battle to the death. As you may know, the young Robin would not survive this encounter as the Heretic drives his blade right through Damian's stomach. Batman arrives, but it's too late to save his son. The loss of Damian Wayne drove Batman to the brink of insanity, but this drive would eventually find the Dark Knight with a Hellbat armor, along with 3 of his protégés traveling to Apokolips to reclaim the body of the 4th Robin from the clutches of Darkseid. After battling off the army of Apokolips, Bruce Wayne takes a Chaos Shard and drives it into the chest of his son in hopes that this method would revive Damian. The procedure works and Damian has been brought back to life, but with a few extra gifts. Side effects include super strength, speed, and flight. The Man of Steel is widely considered as an overpowered superhero with the powers of a god. Well, today will be a day that we will test these powers to the limits. An unknown creature breaks through his prison and leads a city-wide tour filled with chaos and destruction. Taking out the Justice League International was like taking candy from a baby. The armored forces did all they can, but it would be like ants trying to start a war with a god. Hope arrives in the form of the last son of Krypton. The two were evenly matched and fought each other till the last breath. Punch after punch, throw after throw. Ultimately, the Man of Steel comes out victorious like every other battle he was in. But this time, the powerhouse Doomsday has done what others failed to do. Today, Superman gave his life saving the world by killing this strange creature. But this is just half of his journey from death to rebirth. Evidently, we discovered that there were 2 aspects to his return, the physiological and the spiritual. Even after Superman died, his body continued to soak up energy from the sun. This in turn had an effect on his soul. Kal-El was stuck between life and death. He was in limbo and his soul was prey for demons. A series of events would occur, leading to Jonathan Kent suffering from a heart attack from the stress of his son's death. Pa Kent would find himself in the same limbo space where he encountered Clark's soul. Driven by the desire to save his son, Pa Kent finally managed to snap Clark out of his delusions, and together they fought their way back to the land of the living. But this is just one aspect that was key in bringing the Man of Steel back from the grave. The second thing that happened simultaneously with these events was that the Eradicator regained consciousness in the Fortress of Solitude. This living Kryptonian computer intelligence took it upon himself to take Superman's place and goes on to steal Kal-El's body for himself in hopes of becoming Superman. At the exact same moment he tried this, Clark's soul returned to his body, and the Eradicator was unable to claim the Man of Steel's body for himself. In a Plan B effort, the Eradicator manages to create his own body, one identical to Superman's appearance, albeit a weakened one. He took Superman's alive but unconscious body to the fortress and places it into a regeneration matrix with the intent of feeding off the energies of Superman's body to power himself. We discovered that as a Kryptonian, Kal-El's alien genetic code enables him to absorb sunlight to perform superhuman feats, and that the Eradicator plans on using him as a conduit by which he could absorb this solar energy. Thus, it was the actions of Jonathan Kent in restoring the soul to the body, and the Eradicator's actions of recharging the body afterwards that led to Superman waking sometime later and breaking free from the regeneration matrix. After Kal-El emerges from the regeneration matrix, he would discover 4 other individuals sporting the S symbol: the Man of Steel, the Metropolis Kid, the Man of Tomorrow, and the last son of Krypton. The reign of Superman would begin, but that is a story for another day. Thank you so much for watching Comic Island's Top 10 Superhero Deaths and Rebirths. I know there are a ton of deaths and rebirths out there, so please let me know which one is your favorite in the comments below. You can also find Comic Island's full list of top 10s, origins, and bios at the newest comic book reviews and recaps on comicisland.org. And of course, you can connect with us on our Facebook and Twitter. All the links will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time in another Top 10 video.